Hey, my name is Dr. Dino Pappas. This blog today will be about two topics that I'm very passionate about. The topic and the integration that we're talking about is strength training, and more specifically strength training for runners. There's two good infographics that came across my Facebook feed. The first one talked about strength training in general, and strength training is the number one modality for injury prevention across all tools. So it beats and is superior to core training. It beats and is superior to stretching, which are commonly used. So we want to strength train when we can. The second one had to do with runners. The second infographic on runners basically said that the number one injury prevention strategy, number one performance strategy was strength training, because the impact forces that occur with running are 2.5 to about 3 times your body weight. So if you don't get out there and strength train, you really are at risk for not only poor performance, but for injury as well. So I'm going to show you 3 moves that I like to utilize for strength training for runners. The first one is a single leg deadlift. I like training single leg deadlift variations and single leg variations in runners, because most of running, the faster you are, the more you spend time on one leg. I will use double leg variations, but I will heavily program single leg variations into the equation. So we're just going to use a simple resistance band, and the single leg deadlift is a hinge. It also works on balance. So I'm going to grab this, I'm going to rock backwards nice and easy, I'm going to balance, and I'm going to bring myself up. You can use dumbbells, you can use kettlebells, you could also use, in this case, just a really simple super band. Again, balance, working on a hinge pattern, getting the glutes, hamstrings, and that posterior chain nice and active. The second exercise that I like utilizing is a Bulgarian split squat. What is a Bulgarian split squat? Well, a person has got their rear leg elevated, also called a rear leg elevated squat. They're working on balance on the front. They're working on hip extension here, and I don't teach it so much going down into a lunge position as much as rocking back, dropping down and back, and now using this glute, this left-sided glute, to pull my hip and push my hip up and through. So I'm getting posterior chain activation on the left side, again glute, hamstring, as I sink down and back, and then I'm coming all the way up and through. On this right side of my body, I'm also getting a stretch. One thing we find in a lot of runners, a lot of tension through the front part of the anterior thigh. You're getting a stretch of the hip flexor and rectus femoris in general. So this is killing 3 birds. Balance, left glute activation, posterior chain activation, right side anterior stretching of the hip flexors and quadricep muscle. The last variation, I like to have patients in a split stance. It means one leg in front of the other in a lunge position, holding a static lunge. This is a version of a peel-off press. So I push the band out. The band wants to take me into rotation. My obliques, these muscles on the side, have to prevent that motion here. I like to finish it with an overhead press. Now this is working on control over lateral flexion, right? Going to the side. Again, engaging the QL, engaging the obliques. And then I like to finish with like a little bit of a wood chop down here as well. Bring that back to the start position. So push that forward, controlling rotation. Push it overhead, controlling lateral flexion, finish with a wood chop going down and through, again, to get a little bit more of that control coming on back. All right. So it gives you three exercises for runners that we like to utilize, again, functional and strength training.